Food. Food is one of the most basic pleasures in life. And what other of life's necessities brings more happiness than a good meal with friends or family? But food has to be safe to be truly enjoyable. The following was developed to teach food workers like you the basics of food safety, what you need to know to keep yourself and your customers safe. You'll be meeting a lot of people from the food industry who will share their stories and tell you how they manage food safely. The first person you'll meet is Bill Chung, former president of the board of the Washington Restaurant Association.
My name is Bill Chung. I have been in the industry for over 40-some years. I travel all over the world many times, and I really appreciate the sanitation standards the United States has, especially in our state, Washington State. The public trusts us that when they come to our place, they will have safe food. So it is extremely important that we keep our food safe because we have no right to make other people sick.
Bill said that while the food industry is a wonderful place to spend your career, it also comes with responsibility.
I got in this business because I love food. I'll give my parents some credit and my grandparents some credit because they were great cooks. I grew up around great food. Food safety is our #1 concern. What a huge job we have to keep people healthy.
As Bradley said, food safety is the most important thing you serve to your customers. Safe food handling means that food is stored, prepared, and served to reduce the risk of foodborne illness.
We wouldn't be in business if food safety wasn't here. We want not only quality for our customers to see, but we also want to make sure that our customers see quality product that is also served to them using food handling processes properly. It's everything to our business. We would not be in business if we did not handle our food properly.
David and Lily Kong own a small Italian restaurant that enjoys a loyal clientele. With Lily in the front of the house and David and Sons in the kitchen, this is truly a family-run business.
My sons over here, younger son, is Alex Kong, and my older son is Christopher Kong, and my beloved wife, Lily Kong. If you think about the Italian cuisine, and of course I'm Chinese, the culture-wise is almost similar. Italians love to eat like a big family. Same thing with the Chinese. Of course, if you look at it, pasta, it comes from noodles. Of course, they always say Marco Polo go to China, bring the recipe back from China. And then, of course, after risotto is our Italian rice. Same thing with the Chinese, fried rice.
Working with food requires that you pay special attention to 3 basic food safety categories: personal hygiene, managing temperature control, and avoiding cross-contamination. When you practice the food safety rules covered in this video, your chances of making anyone sick are very low. And make no mistake, foodborne illness can be deadly serious. The Federal Centers for Disease Control estimate that each year, 76 million people get sick. 325,000 are hospitalized, and 5,000 people die from foodborne illness. Anita Scherhoff was one of 40 people who got hepatitis A from a sick worker at a sandwich shop. As a food worker herself, she could have passed the virus on to her own customers before she knew she had the disease, but her excellent food safety practices protected them.
It was just really disgusting to me, the thought that the food handler had not washed his hands. The hepatitis A that I contracted caused me to stay home for weeks and rehabilitate. I had just started a new position at work. I had been made night lead in a bakery. When I went back, I was weak and lost my position as lead.
Food is supposed to be a source of nutrition and energy, but once in a while when you eat food, you become sick because of microbes or toxins or allergens that are in the food. Some common foodborne illnesses are salmonellosis, that's infection with salmonella, infection with Campylobacter, E. coli 0157H7, Listeria monocytogenes, hepatitis A, and noroviruses.
There are a number of common germs or pathogens that can cause foodborne illness. These germs, mostly bacteria and viruses, cannot be smelled, tasted, or even seen by the naked eye. Some people are more likely to get a foodborne illness than others. Children, pregnant women, and people with weakened immune systems, like seniors and those who are ill, can get sick more easily.
Some foodborne infections can be fatal, can cause death, especially in the children, in the elderly, and in the immunocompromised.
If you work in a restaurant, you don't know if you're serving someone immune-compromised or not. So handle food with our most vulnerable populations in mind, like Bill does at Hearthstone Retirement Community.
I've been in the food service industry 30-some years, 33 years. It's a very satisfying experience. In this setting of feeding elderly people with their compromised immunity as they've gotten older, and keeping them safe and good safe food and handling food practices, very, very important and very satisfying experience.
As a food worker, even when you look and feel healthy, you can accidentally spread harmful germs without good hygiene. In food service, personal hygiene means keeping germs from your body out of the food someone else is going to eat. Washing hands, keeping your fingernails trimmed so you can easily wash germs out from under them, and not working when you're sick are important components of personal hygiene. Washing your hands correctly after going to the bathroom is one of the most important responsibilities you can have as a food worker. Your hands may look clean, but deadly microscopic viruses may be on your hands and then get into the food and make someone very sick.
Very, very good hand washing. I think that's the #1 item for our employees to understand and do a good job at.
I probably wash my hands on an average of 20 to 25 times a day easily.
So how do you wash your hands correctly? First, be sure the sink has warm water and is stocked with soap and paper towels. Then wash for at least 20 seconds. Turn on warm water and get your hands wet. Apply plenty of soap and scrub your hands, wrists, and forearms. Be sure to get in between your fingers and under your fingernails. Scrub for 10 to 15 seconds. Rinse the soap off your hands. Dry with a paper towel. It's a good idea to use the paper towel to turn off the water. And if you're in the bathroom, use the paper towel to open the door before throwing it in the trash. And that's it. But there's more to washing your hands besides knowing how to do it. You have to know when to do it too. Wash your hands after going to the bathroom, and then again immediately when you get back to the kitchen. It's the double hand wash rule. You must wash your hands before you put on gloves, after handling raw animal products, emptying the garbage, coughing or sneezing, and whenever you change tasks. That's a lot of hand washing, but that's what it takes to keep you and your customers safe.
Basics for food safety is #1 is proper hand washing from all of our employees. The second item I think is really important are the barriers, making sure that you've got disposable gloves on if that's appropriate, or using the right utensils, tongs or tissues.
Even if your hands are freshly washed, you may not touch ready-to-eat food with your bare hands. This keeps germs that might still be on your hands from getting onto ready-to-eat food. Ready-to-eat food is food that will not be washed, cooked, or cooked again to remove or kill germs. Examples include sliced fruit, bread, sandwiches, and salad. Gloves are the barrier used most often, but other barriers are as effective, such as tongs, spoons, scoops, chopsticks, and tissues. When you do use gloves, remember to change gloves between tasks. Wash your hands before putting new gloves on, and never reuse gloves. Putting gloves on after washing your hands takes a little practice, but it is essential because even clean hands may have a few remaining germs on them, and that can be enough to make someone sick. You should also wear gloves if you have any cuts, sores, or bandages on your hands or forearms. It's very important to know when it's safe to work with food and when it's not. If you're sick with diarrhea, vomiting, or fever, you cannot work with food.
We've never had any cases of a foodborne illness here. Our employees, if they start having stomachache or feeling fatigue or something, if there's any suspicion, we send them home. Or we encourage them to call in, and then call in 24 hours a day and leave a message, I'm not coming in, I'm sick. They're encouraged, they have to do that. We do not want to subject our residents to picking up any of those foodborne illnesses.
And if you're preparing food for the very young, elderly, or ill people, protect them by staying home altogether. Remember, they are the most likely to get very sick or die from a foodborne illness.
Because of the environment here, the elderly people, they're very, very susceptible to contacting illnesses that are communicable from one person to another.
Other personal hygiene requirements are to keep your hair out of the food by using a hair restraint like a hat or a hairnet. Take off any jewelry on your hands and arms before working with food. Jewelry like rings, watches, and bracelets can trap germs and could fall into the food and hurt your customer. To review, here are the main components of personal hygiene that are required for all food workers. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds before starting to work with food. Wash your hands between tasks and any time your hands might be contaminated. Use barriers so that you don't touch ready-to-eat foods. Wear gloves if you have a cut, sore, or are wearing a bandage or Band-Aid. Take jewelry off and keep your hair restrained. And if you're sick, don't work with food.
I've been learning every day over the past 28 years. David is my son. No, he's been working here in Taqueria and learning all the restaurant business.
There's important elements in restaurants like refried beans. When we cook them, we want to make sure that it is heated above 165 degrees. And when we're about to cool it down, we want to get them in 2-inch pans and get them in the refrigerator as soon as possible.
Not only can viruses and other germs from our bodies cause foodborne illness, sometimes the food itself can have bacteria that can make people sick.
What we do with here in our restaurant more than anything else is really ensure a safe quality product day in, day out through consistency, through safety, through product temping.
Foods with the perfect environment to grow germs are called potentially hazardous foods and include protein products like meat, poultry, and fish, tofu and beans, cooked starches like potatoes, rice, and pasta, and cooked vegetables. Foodborne pathogens like bacteria grow best between 41 and 140 degrees, called the danger zone. Your job is to keep potentially hazardous foods out of the danger zone. To show us what can happen, Dr. Samadpour has taken a sample of salmonella from a food that had made a customer sick. The black dots on this petri dish are colonies of salmonella grown in 24 hours in Dr. Samadpour's lab.
The amount of bacteria that we have on this plate is probably sufficient to make 500 to 1,000 people sick.
The only way to make sure that bacteria don't grow out of control is through proper temperature control. The only way you can really know a food's temperature is to use a thermometer and use it correctly. With thick or liquid foods, stir the food first and then put the thermometer into the center of the food. Use a thermometer to check the temperature of the food in the oven, on the hot holding line, in the refrigerator, and the cold holding line. Make sure your thermometer is accurate and that you sanitize it before and after you put it into food. Don't spread germs with your thermometer. When taking the temperature of meat, fish, or poultry, put the thermometer into the thickest part. If the product is in a bag, like this chowder, fold the bag over the thermometer so that it reads the center of the food. Use a thermometer to check temperatures while you follow the 5 rules of temperature control. First, thaw frozen foods properly. Second, cook foods to the right temperatures to kill germs. Third, keep cooked foods hot at 140 degrees Fahrenheit or above. Fourth, cool hot foods down quickly. And fifth, keep cold foods cold at 41 degrees or less. Thawing potentially hazardous food the right way is easy to do. There are 3 safe ways to do it. You can thaw food in the refrigerator. Thawing in the refrigerator takes time and enough refrigerator space. In a small kitchen where there isn't a lot of refrigerator space, or when you don't have enough time, a second safe way to thaw food is to submerge it under cold running water until it's thawed. Finally, you can thaw some foods in the microwave. Cooking food to the correct temperature to kill germs is essential to lowering the chances that your customer will eat food that will make him sick. Here are the right temperatures for many kinds of cooked foods. Cook packaged ready-to-eat foods like hot dogs to 140 degrees or more and hold the temperature for 15 seconds. Cook eggs, fish, beef, and pork to at least 145 degrees and hold for at least 15 seconds. Ground beef and pork like hamburger and sausage must be cooked to at least 155 degrees and held for 15 seconds. And poultry, stuffing, casseroles, and stuffed foods must be cooked to at least 165 degrees and then held at that temperature for 15 seconds or more. You may serve some foods that are raw or undercooked, like salad dressings made with raw eggs. And some of your customers may ask you to undercook their food, like eggs over easy or medium rare hamburgers, for example. If you serve undercooked food, you must also have a consumer advisory on the menu. The consumer advisory tells the customer which foods may be undercooked and tells them that if they eat undercooked food, they run the risk of a foodborne illness. If you work in a care facility like a hospital, senior center, or child care, you may never serve undercooked foods. Most potentially hazardous food gets cooked, which kills the germs. But some potentially hazardous foods that can carry deadly germs are eaten fresh and must be kept cold to keep them safe. These include cut melons, sprouts, and fruit juices. Fruit juices must be pasteurized if they're served to seniors, young children, or people who are immune compromised. Even if you properly handle food by washing hands, using barriers, and cooking food to the proper temperature, it is still possible that a few bacteria are on the food. The next important temperature control rule to remember is to keep hot foods hot at 140 degrees or above and out of the danger zone. To ensure you're keeping foods at 140 degrees and above, preheat the steam table, soup warmers, or other hot holding units. Then put only hot foods that are 140 degrees or above in the hot units and take the temperature of these foods regularly. Keep covers on the food if possible. Another important safety rule to remember is that utensils you're actively working with can grow germs. So keep utensils like tongs and knives in ice or under running water. There are several ways to cool food properly. When cooling foods, move them quickly through the danger zone. The easiest cooling method is to put food no more than 2 inches deep in a pan, then immediately into the refrigerator uncovered, where cold air can circulate and cool it. When it reaches 41 degrees, you can cover it. Cut large pieces of meat or poultry into pieces 4 inches thick or less. Put them in a pan uncovered in the refrigerator and cover it when it reaches 41 degrees. Germs grow fastest between 70 degrees and 140 degrees, so you can also cool foods by using time and temperature, called the two-tiered method. With this method, you cool the food to 70 degrees within the first 2 hours using the ice bath method or flash chilling unit. The ice bath method requires surrounding the food container with ice and stirring frequently. After the food reaches 70 degrees, you have 4 more hours to bring the food down to 41 degrees. That's a total of 6 hours to get the food cooled to 41 degrees. Make sure cold food stays cold at 41 degrees or below and doesn't warm up in the danger zone. Food can be kept in a refrigerated unit or can be kept in a container surrounded by ice up to the level of the food. Remember, the only way to make sure that the food is at the correct temperature is to use a thermometer. When you receive a delivery from your food supplier, be sure to use a thermometer to assure all potentially hazardous food is 41 degrees or less. Here's an example of how the temperature of a product is controlled by taking it quickly through the danger zone from receiving to serving.
In this case, this is buzzard wings. We receive these as a raw product, cook them, quickly cool to within 30 minutes to sub 41, and then store them in the walk-in.
Finally, the chicken wings are reheated, sauced, and served. These wings were in the danger zone for only a few minutes, which means the chance of serving the customer a foodborne illness with the wings is very low. Let's review some of the key temperature control methods and safety rules to move foods quickly through the danger zone. Always use a thermometer. Thaw foods in the refrigerator, under cold running water, or in the microwave. Cook meats, poultry, and fish to the correct temperatures. Keep hot foods hot at 140 degrees or above. Cool foods correctly by putting them into shallow pans no more than 2 inches deep, slicing thick meats into smaller pieces, or using the 2-tiered time and temperature method. Keep cold foods cold at 41 degrees or below. Finally, reheat potentially hazardous food to at least 165 degrees.
For us to keep everybody working right, the most important thing is the food safety. We need to have everybody educated in the kitchen and on the front of the house to understand and have the good knowledge of the food safety. On our storage in the walk-in cooler, we separate it for vegetable only and for the meat only. And on the meat only, we also have labels saying what should be on top and what should be on the bottom. So we label our chicken to be on the bottom.
Cross-contamination causes foodborne illnesses and occurs when germs that cause these illnesses get spread from one place to another. It most often occurs when the juice or blood from raw meat or poultry gets onto ready-to-eat foods. Since ready-to-eat foods aren't going to be washed, cooked, or cooked again, any germs they come in contact with will not be removed or killed. Therefore, it is vitally important to take steps to avoid cross-contamination. Here's how. Wash your hands properly after handling raw animal products. If you're wearing gloves, take them off. Wash your hands for 20 seconds and put new gloves back on, or use other appropriate utensils for your next food task. Wash, rinse, and sanitize all food contact surfaces like cutting boards and counters immediately after finishing up with raw animal products. It's a great idea to use different colored cutting boards for different types of foods. Use red for meat, yellow for chicken, and green for produce. This will reduce the chances of cross-contamination and making people ill. Wash all produce well, including the skins of melons and other fruits, even if you take the skins off. Produce can have germs that can make people sick too. Germs can come from the fields, from a farm worker's hands, or another source of cross-contamination. Be sure to put meats and other raw animal products on shelves below ready-to-eat products so that they don't drip on each other or on other foods. Store raw animal products according to the temperature they will be cooked to. That means fish and shellfish cooked to 145 degrees goes above other raw animal products. And raw chicken, which you cook to 165 degrees or more, goes on the lowest shelf. Remember that no bare hand contact with ready-to-eat foods includes condiments used in bar drinks. Use barriers like tongs to add olives or lemon to beverages, and use an ice scoop to top off a glass with ice. Cleaning and sanitizing are key steps in preventing cross-contamination, and there is a difference. Cleaning means using soap and water to remove food and dirt from the object you're cleaning. Sanitizing means using chemicals or heat to kill the germs. Washing dishes requires both cleaning and sanitizing. When you wash dishes by hand, you must use a 3-compartment sink to wash, rinse, and sanitize. Then air dry, which means you can't use a towel to dry your dishes. If you're using a dishwasher, rinse the dishes before running them through the dishwashing cycle. Make sure the final rinse is 180 degrees or more, and use a chemical test strip to assure the sanitizer is at the right concentration. Your sanitizing solution is a key way to make sure the germs are dead on food preparation surfaces and elsewhere so that they don't make the customer ill. To make a sanitizing solution the right way, follow the directions on the label, then check the solution with a test strip. Do not add soap to your sanitizing solution. As you use the sanitizing solution, the grease, dirt, and food it collects makes it ineffective. So check the solution often with a test strip and change it when necessary. It's important to label and store cleaning and sanitizing chemicals carefully so they don't accidentally get into people's food. Store them away from food preparation areas, such as in a chemical storage closet, or in a small kitchen where space is an issue. Store the chemicals safely under the 3-compartment sink. To review once again how to avoid cross-contamination, remember to wash your hands after touching raw animal products. Wash, rinse, and sanitize all surfaces, utensils, and cutting boards after use. Store ready-to-eat foods on the upper shelves of the refrigerator, and the raw animal products according to what has the highest final cooking temperature. That means that raw chicken needs to be stored on the bottom shelf. Store chemicals away from food and label them clearly. There are some other important food safety rules that fall outside our 3 main categories of personal hygiene, temperature control, and cross-contamination. For example, there are special ways of handling shellfish. Oysters, clams, mussels, or other shellfish are delivered with tags identifying the shellfish, the company that harvested them, and the date you received them. Keep the tag with the shellfish until they're served, and then keep the tag on file for 90 days. While we're on the subject of labeling and storage, it's a good idea to label all food correctly. And for safety's sake, all food establishments must have a person in charge whenever the kitchen is open. The person in charge is someone who knows the food code rules very, very well, knows the procedures of your kitchen, and can assure that safe food handling is practiced by all staff. The person in charge is someone a food worker can check with on food safety rules and procedures.
Each of our departments, we have a variety of departments in our stores, all have people in charge. We have department managers, department assistant managers, and so during our normal operations, we have people that are in charge that do have education in regards to food safety.
Even if you're not the person in charge, there are emergencies you need to be aware of when the restaurant must close. When the electricity goes out, when there's no hot water or running water, when there's a sewage backup or flood. There are a lot of food safety topics not covered in this video. It's up to you, the food worker, to make sure that you know all the rules and regulations you need to follow to ensure that your customers stay safe.
Food workers have an amazing role to play in terms of food safety. They are one of the last lines of defense that we have.
You can make food taste great, but if you're not sanitized or clean anyway, and you get somebody sick, then they're never going to come back ever again, or it could hurt your reputation. So you always want to have good food safety, leads to good quality production, and you're going to have more customers and you'll be able to reach your goals.
Food safety is the most important thing for me. We're only as good as the last product we sold and how safe it was. We want to stay in business. I love my job and I want to keep my job.
I guess it's a family business, you know. You either love it or hate it. When you love it, you do it all with your heart.
We can't stress enough that everyone in the restaurant business needs to understand how important their job is when it comes to keeping people healthy. Food safety is so important. Yes, serving a great meal and taking care of people is important, but if we don't serve safe food and we don't manage all those things, it's just not a good deal for anybody.
Whether you're a cook or a chef, a waiter, a dishwasher, or bus person, you deal with food every day. The health and well-being of the people you serve is in your hands. Food safety is up to you.